anniversary, and, which is pretty interesting. You're probably thinking, the media has been very topsy-turvy over the last 30 years, and how do we have that kind of staying power? And I think the reason is because we had a whole new model, and the new model was cover business from a Main Street kind of perspective. So in other words, we weren't, most of the business coverage up to the business journal starting there's about 40 or 50 around the country. Up to that point, before they started about 30 years ago, most of the business news was about the markets, the big public companies, and that kind of thing. And, what our founders decided was that we needed a source of news about businesses here in Philadelphia or anywhere around the country, but local businesses and small companies and medium-sized companies and that kind of thing. And so it's been a success because I think we can get people together, we can inform, do the kinds of things that maybe couldn't be done on that national and big scale. So that's kind of how we approach it. People ask me, what is your mission? And our mission is to help our readers make more money. I mean, that's the bottom line. And so we try to give them the information they need and make the connections for them so that they can do that. We have a number of platforms now. We have, obviously the print product is still going very, very strong. That's the weekly product that comes out on Friday. We also have a number of internet products now. We have our web page. We put about 30 stories up online every day, 30 news stories, and we cover. We also have a couple of newsletter products that come out. Our daily update that comes out at 3:30 every day. We can get that. Is anybody get that here in the room? That's a good product, particularly for job seekers, I think, because you can really see, daily kind of what's happening in the business community here. Just go to our website at Business Journal, PhiladelphiaBusinessJournal.com, and you can sign up for those products. We also have a morning roundup product that's coming out. It's kind of an aggregation of business news. It's important to everyone in the Philadelphia area. Collect it all, put it out in the newsletter every morning. So those are great products, and it's been very interesting for me to see, kind of how the platform has changed over the years. When I first started in Business Journal, something that was just a print product. Now we can provide so much more information. So the real reason I'm here is to talk to you about the economy. And as an editor of Business Journal, a lot of folks ask me all the time, what's going to happen in the economy. I'm not an economist, but I do see trends because I'm reading, all the stories that are filed by our staff. I'm reading all kinds of things from around the country, so I can really spot some trends. And I'll also today share with you some research that our company has done with small and medium-sized companies and how they're feeling about the future. Let's go to the first slide there. If you look, my notes here, you can see it there, but this is a little bit depressing, I have to say, except I will come back with some better news. But if you look, I just wanted to give you kind of the context of how hard we've been hit since 2006. 2006, everything was still humming along, houses were still being built and all this kind of thing. But since 2006, the metro area has lost about 4% of its private sector jobs. And that's kind of where we live, the private sector jobs, kind of looking at how that's going. That ranks 49th, right in the middle of the top 100 metros in the country. Only 13 gained jobs. For comparison, Las Vegas was really hit hard. They lost probably the most at 15%. Phoenix lost nearly 12%. So we were kind of in the middle. That's kind of the story of Philadelphia over the years. Philadelphia doesn't have a lot of highs, doesn't have a lot of real lows either. It's kind of in the middle. Building permits. And building permits is very interesting because that is kind of what's happening as far as bricks and mortar. So you can really see we've taken quite a hit there. We were 65th in the country in that category. Pittsburgh, by contrast, did better. And I think our decline here is because we did so well in terms of bricks and mortar in the building boom. I think that Philadelphia, with the center city and kind of great things that were happening there, that all kind of came to a halt over the over the next several years after Manufacturing it was hit really very, very hard. In Philadelphia, yes. Sorry about that. That was hit really, really hard. If you look at the this, we ranked 58th in that category, way down. Four metros actually gained manufacturing jobs over that period. They're kind of all over the country there. It's pretty interesting. I think Houston is probably because of the oil and gas industry. In the last 12 months, though, we're getting positive again. Pennsylvania has gained a net 70,500 jobs. The state is 5th in the country in that category, so that's really good news. We are coming back.
Finally, we want to hear the end.
Absolutely, I know. And Texas leads the pack. Rick Perry is telling us a lot about that. As you know. Out there on the trail these days, they do lead the pack as far as jobs created. Indiana, which is worse, and another loss of 28,300 jobs. So that's kind of that's just kind of a snapshot overall of where we are. Just this past week, I was giving a speech in Cherry Hill, and they were asking me kind of what's going on in the economy and that kind of thing. And basically, so I'll share with you some of the comments that I shared with them. As a general rule, we're starting to see some more positive activity. We were saying that, a year ago. We're feeling like things were on the upswing, and all of a sudden it's stalled. It stalled a little bit. There was a period of no growth for several months, and it's worrying us. But we're starting to, at least anecdotally, and some of the numbers are we're starting to see things that turn around just a little bit. Manufacturing, we talked about how hard we've been hit since 2006, but actually in the last couple of months we've seen some upticks there. The Fed recently released a look at all the economic activity in the area and that kind of thing, and manufacturing actually went from negative territory into positive territory again. So that's really, really good news for us. Commercial real estate. Commercial real estate is such a huge driver of a lot of the things that we do, and that's largely stagnant. It's still stagnant, but there is some pent-up demand kind of out there. There are some big users, law firms, accounting firms, things like that, who are looking for space right now. So I think that'll change as we get into the first quarter of 2012. Pharmaceuticals and biotech, that's been really very topsy-turvy in that industry. And that's such a huge industry for our area. If you look at what's going on there, there's a lot of consolidation. We're going to think Teva and Cephalon just recently. But there's also a lot of opportunity in that area. I'll tell you why, because we have a tremendous amount of talent here who's being laid off. So there's a lot of opportunity for people who haven't laid off, start smaller firms. So we're seeing that. We're seeing more activity in that sector, a lot of small company activity, and that's really, I think that's a good thing, and I think it'll pay off in the long run. The retail environment is holding up fairly steady, and I think it's ready for growth coming into the next year. In Philadelphia, you probably heard this stat, that 60 new restaurants are opening this fall in Philadelphia, and that's pretty amazing when you talk about a down economy. That's 60 new restaurants opening, so we're excited about that. So the bottom line, is I'm really optimistic. I'm optimistic about the, and we're going to avoid the double dip. You've heard about that, kind of going back into recession. I think we're ready for some growth, sustained growth, but it's going to be slow. It's not going to be, really fast. And my next slides here are kind of, this is research that our company does around the country. This isn't Philadelphia-centric, but I think it's definitely apropos to Philadelphia. And it's some interesting information about kind of, how business owners are feeling right now, in 2011, and I think you'll find it interesting. Let's go to the next slide, please. This was a survey of 2,223 business owners. So it's really high-quality research. It's focusing on companies with between 1 and 499 employees. It's basically telephone interviews. So I'll go to the next slide. And this is kind of how it breaks down as far as who we talk to. It's pretty interesting here. If you look at this company sales, 7.7 million is kind of the average. kind of that middle ground, and that's, I'm sure that you've heard time and time again. This is where most of the jobs are created, in this space, in this small and medium-sized space. So how they're feeling is really the important part of it. Next slide. Okay. Oh, maybe not. Maybe not. The next one. Yeah. Okay. This is interesting. 2010 is the last hard numbers that we have. If you look at this, starting after declining, the number of businesses after declining in 2007, 2008, 2009, it's starting to go back up again in 2010. So we're starting to see more businesses being created. Next slide. Okay, now this one here is really interesting, and I think this research was done several months ago, so I think if we took it now, it might be a little different, but it kind of shows just how people are feeling. If you look at this, this is agreement. So anytime you see a percentage there, it's the people who agree with the comment. I'm sorry. The U.S. economy will not only rebound, but be stronger than ever. As you can see, that's declined over the years from 2009 to 2011. Kind of a pessimism that has creeped in. And if you look at the global economic power centers are shifting, that also has went down a little bit. These events triggered a new U.S. economy. It will never be the same again. So that's interesting. People feel that we're entering a new paradigm. You see that increased in 2010 and stayed steady in 2011. So just some interesting stuff here. And I'd be glad to, if anybody wants to send me an email or something, I'm glad to share these slides with you. Next slide, please. This is kind of where we live here. I think it shows a slight uptick. I expect the economy to grow a good deal over the next few years. So as you can see, that was declining in 2008, 2009, 2010, up a little bit in 2011. And as I said, I think if we took that survey right now, I think it might be up even a little bit higher. So next slide. Okay, this is the sales growth. These are real numbers. The annual growth in sales, and as you can see, in 2007, it's still doing okay. Coming down a little bit in 2008, 2009, kind of hopefully hit bottom. Coming back up a little bit again in 2010. So the sales are starting to pick up, and we'll see, how that is at the end of 2011. That's kind of that number's going to look, but I'm optimistic. I think it's going to be a strong quarter, a strong first quarter. Next slide. These are the top concerns of employers and business owners right now. And if you look, in 2010, healthcare is the top of everybody's mind. It's 72%. That's going down a little bit. It's still a big concern, but it's not quite, that huge. It's not quite as much as it was back in 2010. U.S. economy, that has definitely gone up. I think that's because of the fears of WTO. The rising cost of doing business, that's also a growing concern. That's because of the cost of raw materials, because of the cost of benefits, all these kind of things. So it's really, people are concerned about keeping their company strong through fluctuations of the economic environment. That is also increased. People, are very concerned. Employers are very concerned. However, again, I'm going to leave you with a positive message. I think that from what we're hearing anecdotally, people are starting to come in on the sideline. We're starting to hire again. We're starting to hear that, so I am optimistic. However, it's going to be slow. It's not going to be real fast. Recovery already hasn't been real fast. Recovery has been a struggle.